Today, they had a vote within the Democratic Caucus for leadership, and some parts were enormously uninteresting. The number 2 and number 3 positions were Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn, and they were not challenged, although Steny Hoyer definitely should have been challenged, and so they won by acclamation. Nancy Pelosi was being challenged, but only from the right wing, so that was already bad enough. I'm going to explain that in a second, but then the progressives were absolutely screwed in another vote that I'm going to explain as well. But first, let's start with Nancy Pelosi. She won within the caucus 203 to 32, so that seems like a crushing victory. But no, the problem is she needs at least 16 to 17 votes more to stay with her. Otherwise, some of the right-wing Democrats could vote with the Republicans, and then you would have a Republican Speaker of the House. Now, I don't know if they'll go that far because, my God, the anger would be record-breaking. It would be unthinkable. But I don't know if they're going to try to force a vote on someone else that's in the Democratic Party, but they're pushing her to the right, and unfortunately, it is working. There's several different factions. One of them is called the Problem Solvers Caucus. They like to solve problems for their donors. Okay, so, and there was 9 of them, and they were trying to withhold their votes, and Nancy Pelosi gave them concessions. As the New York Times explains, after painstaking negotiations that stretched into the wee hours of Wednesday morning, Ms. Pelosi struck a deal with the Problem Solvers Caucus, who had withheld their support until they secured changes they said would break partisan gridlock by empowering lawmakers who forge bipartisan compromises. Here's the translation of that. A small group of Democrats will break off from the Democratic Party and vote with the Republicans to give corporate donors whatever they want. Now, if they did not get these agreements, they would not be able to do that. But now they could work with Republicans to screw us over. So now I regret not more forcefully asking for a challenge of Nancy Pelosi from the left. So the left is always too nice. Oh, well, Nancy Pelosi, you know, she's been in charge for all this time, doing basically nothing but collecting money. But a lot of people owe her favors because she may raise money for their campaigns, and she's being challenged from the right, so we should rally to her defense. No, we should have challenged her from the left. If you weren't going to do Nancy Pelosi, and this, by the way, it's also my mistake. I should have pushed for it. I should have rallied you guys to try to make this happen. Why is Steny Hoyer, one of the most right-wing guys in the House, number 2 in charge of the Democrats? We should have challenged him. I don't care who it is. Just go. Of course, I care deeply that it's a progressive. I mean, among the true progressives in the House. Instead, the left wing got very little. The right wing got concessions. Usual Washington. But I haven't gotten to the worst part. So, the worst part is Barbara Lee was running for caucus chair. And so this is the position Joe Crowley had until Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez beat him in what was considered a stunning upset. Now, if you watched the Young Turks, it wasn't that stunning to you, and you were familiar with her, and a lot of you, thank you for volunteering for a campaign, donating, et cetera, made that happen. So, well, a progressive should get that seat. That makes all the sense in the world. There's no other strong progressives in Democratic leadership. Well, lucky for us, Barbara Lee was running. In fact, let's go to graphic 19. So she's been in Congress for a long time, and she's proven herself. Barbara Lee was the sole vote against authorization of military force after the 9/11 attacks. Now, everybody else cowered and said, oh, no, we have to give the president carte blanche. She voted no, not because she wasn't horrified by what happened in 9/11. She said at the time they will overuse this. We have used it in 20 different countries. 20 different countries. 19 of which did not attack us on 9/11. Barbara Lee was 100% right. So there's a strong progressive. We never had an African-American woman in Democratic leadership ever. Isn't that amazing? So it's a perfect opportunity. They were running Linda Sanchez against her. And I'll tell you what happened to Linda Sanchez in a second. Linda Sanchez is more of a right-wing Democrat. And they realized, oops, we're going to lose. There's too many new progressives that came into the House. So they pulled Linda Sanchez, and they did a cute little trick. They put in Hakeem Jeffries. Now, Hakeem Jeffries is also African American, and he's considered progressive. I'm going to show you videos in a second. You're going to get to make up your own mind, so that when progressives get angry, as they did today, and as I did today, the establishment go on social media and go, how dare you? Hakeem Jeffries is a wonderful progressive, and he's also African American, and haha, we tricked you. We knew the real right-winger, Linda Sanchez, couldn't win, so we snuck in someone more right-wing than Barbara Lee, because we can't have a real progressive. We just cannot ever, ever, ever have a real progressive in Democratic leadership. So let me show you what happened with Linda Sanchez, then I'm going to show you clips from Hakeem Jeffries. This was a little while back. California Representative Linda Sanchez, as roll call reported, is dropping out of the race for Democratic Caucus chair, citing an unexpected family matter that requires her attention. Wow, okay, I guess she's dropping out of Congress, right? Because she's got a family matter she's got to rush to, and probably really serious. No, she's not dropping out of Congress. Well, she's dropping everything else she's doing, right? No, she's not dropping anything else. It's a family matter that is specifically contained to running for Democratic Caucus chair. Now, get a load of this coincidence. Sanchez's announcement comes the same day as New York Representative Hakeem Jeffries entered the race. Really? Huh. What an incredible coincidence. Or perhaps Linda Sanchez was lying, and this is important, so is Democratic leadership that played this trick in the first place. Why they could hide behind identity, and then they could go and use that, even though we are supporting one of the strongest progressives in Congress. No, we can't have it. So now a lot of people, like I said, social media go, how dare you, Cenk? Hakeem Jeffries is perfectly progressive. Well, okay, it's a good thing he's on television because he's running for this. So you tell me if you think he's perfectly progressive. We know the progressive position is Medicare for all. So is Hakeem Jeffries interested in single payer? Let's find out.
Would you be pushing for things like single payer, more of the progressive agenda?
Well, I'm a pragmatic progressive. I think that we all want to move toward universality of health care coverage, but we have to start by strengthening the Affordable Care Act, by lowering the high cost of prescription drugs, and by making sure that we can protect people with pre-existing conditions. Those were our promises to the electorate. That's what helped us win the majority. We've got to fight for the people, specifically on the issues that we have discussed with the American people as part of our closing argument.
In other words, that's a hell to the no. No, we are not going to do single payer. We're going to fight for people with pre-existing conditions. What do you mean? That's the status quo. That's Obamacare. Oh, wow. The Democrats have gathered up the courage to fight for the status quo. Oh my God, profiling courage. My bad, I didn't know Hakeem Jeffries was that progressive. Okay, so, well, how about the wall? I mean, this is a layup, the Trump wall. You're against that, right? I mean, and you're gonna come out on fire on the wall. It's a layup. It's the wall, Trump's wall. Let's see how he does on a layup.
Donald Trump wants to fund his border wall. I would make the argument that the images down there that we're seeing in Tijuana are the images that he would want to see in order to back him up in this fight for his border wall. Is there any deal that you can make with him for that? Is it a deal for DACA? Anything that you can do that would give him some funding for that wall?
Well, I think that's a discussion for all of us as a caucus to have as it relates to the right.
Running for a leadership position.
Well, listen, I think
don't we deserve your opinion?
Well, certainly. But I think, listen, there are serious decisions that are going to have to be made with respect to issues that involve a possible government shutdown, and I think that we have to have a consensus position.
Yeah, let me translate for you. First of all, a wall, it's negotiable. Okay, look, but if you were to say, as Katie Tur asked, and it's a good question, hey, could you make any deal where, like, at least you get DACA, because the Democrats still haven't gotten DACA. His answer was actually worse. His answer is, well, if there's a government shutdown, we'd have to see what, we negotiate. Trump is threatening a government shutdown. So what he's saying is, if Trump makes that threat, we're gonna buckle. We're gonna buckle. I'm gonna go and talk to my corporate right-wing Democratic friends, and they're gonna tell me, don't shut the government down, don't shut, but Trump would be shutting it down. No. Whatever you do, my donors need it. They need it. So give them the wall, give them anything. Don't ask for DACA. And by the way, that's not an exaggeration. That's what they did last time. Trump threatened to shut down the government, and they said, we want DACA in return. Trump said, no, you'll get nothing. And the Democrats said, yes, sir, absolutely, sir, yes, sir. Do we have DACA or don't we have DACA? Do we have DACA? We do not. They buckled last time. Hakeem Jeffries just promised you this time they're going to buckle again. That's why he was elected. And they voted down Barbara Lee. They denied her that leadership role so they could put Hakeem Jeffries in there to buckle to Donald Trump. Welcome to the new Democratic majority.
And I mean, Hakeem Jeffries is also, in terms of calling himself a pragmatic progressive. That it seems like code for I'm not a progressive. This is my way of saying the word progressive in a sentence describing myself while simultaneously winking at the people who I am absolutely appeasing in every other part of that interview. Every single part of that interview. If you heard Chuck Schumer yesterday, today, he said, I'm not gonna negotiate in public. What did you hear in that interview? I'm not gonna negotiate in public. Those are the exact same words. And then on the campaign trail, I believe he said of Bernie Sanders, he is a gun-loving socialist. He's no true friend to blacks. I saw that as a quote.
Jesus Christ, man.
So there you go. Like, just to give you an idea of something that I would say some person that most progressives, true progressives actually do rally around. So if you're saying like so you have the pragmatic progressive, which it's very pragmatic for him to distance himself from progressives, as you saw today, versus the actual progressives, the people who are voting, who are rallying around things that most people actually agree with. Medicare for all, more than half the country supports that. That's it.
Yeah, they robbed Barbara Lee today. All those years of service, doing all the right things, but the problem was she was with the people and they couldn't stand it. So look at what Brett's saying. Bernie Sanders is not only the most popular politician in the country, he's the most popular Democrat. Most popular Democrat. And they say, no, Hakeem Jeffries is wonderfully progressive. He thinks that Bernie Sanders is unacceptable. How is that progressive? How is that progressive? How is that progressive? Okay, put that aside. Medicare for all, I'm pragmatic. What do you mean? It's a 70% approval rating. 52% of Republicans want it. Over 84% of Democratic voters want it. How is it pragmatic to be against 80% of Democratic voters? How's that pragmatic? How is that pragmatic? No. Pragmatic means I am corrupt. I like taking donor money. I like taking from the healthcare industry. And I like all my other friends in the Democratic Party are also corrupt. And they like taking money from the donors, in this case, the healthcare industry. So we're going to pragmatically continue our corruption and then wonder why we lost elections like we lost to Donald Trump. Because he at least pretended to be a populist. While you guys went around and go, oh, we are very pragmatic. We give the donors everything they want. If you wanted pragmatic, you would have supported Barbara Lee. We just won the elections based on progressive platforms. That is pragmatic. That's what got you the majority. But immediately, betrayal. Immediately. But to be fair, it's not even betrayal. And that's a strong word. I have no problem with saying strong words, as you can tell, right? But it's not. We knew. I'm reminded of Dennis Green. The Democrats are who we thought they were, right? So, and that's the corporate Democrats. Look, the good news is, and I'll end on a high note here. Barbara Lee's in the House, and now she's pissed, rightfully so. And every progressive that supported her is pissed. And we've got real progressives in the House. It's not like the old days where they play these parlor games and nobody would call them out. Ocasio-Cortez is there, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Ro Khanna, etc. And the list goes on. They're there and they're gonna fight back. So if they think they're gonna play these cute games for 2 years, they got another thought coming to them. So we see you, it's clear as day. Everyone in Washington will give you a nice tap on the ass today and go, oh, good job, way to trick everybody. Nobody caught on, right? Nobody on TV is talking about it. No, almost no one else in the press is talking about it. I got bad news for you. We caught on, and so did every progressive in Washington. And guess what? Now those progressives are in the House. They're in your house. You know why? Because it's our house. And we're not anywhere near done. You keep running these games, we're gonna keep primarying the living hell out of all of you. So enjoy that. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.